Hi everybody, Laura Bassen here for Scrapbook and Cards today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to be sharing this colorful project featuring some Pinkfish Studio products. I'm going to show you how I do my rainbow ink blending on this background. So I have my favorite Distress Oxide inks, my beloved ink blenders, and I have a panel of Neenah Solar White cardstock. And I'm working on a Ranger craft mat that I trimmed down to a smaller size square, which is held down with some magnets on top of this Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station. So I started ink blending with picked raspberry on the top right corner. The next color I'm going in with is Spice Marmalade. And I'm not doing any type of gradient. A lot of time when I do ink blending, I do a lot of gradient, meaning I start dark and I fade it into a lighter tone. So I start dark and fade it into lighter. This time I'm not doing that. I'm keeping it heavy inked all the way through. I'm just trying to get a nice seamless blend in between each color. So I want a seamless blend. Now I'm working with squeezed lemonade and I want to blend that into the Spice Marmalade. And I say this all the time, but the Distress inks blend like butter. They really do. You can kind of smear them because they have that, well, I don't know what they're made up of, but whatever they're made up of is magic. And they blend. So then I went from Squeezed Lemonade into Twisted Citron. Now I'm working with Mermaid Lagoon. And so if you have trouble, the number one thing I always tell people is to make sure that your ink blenders are well seasoned, meaning they need to have a lot of ink on them. You got to work them in. The more you work with them, the better they get, the easier it gets. And also, practice, practice, practice. I feel like I've been doing ink blending for 100 years. So it's like I do ink blending on almost every card that I make. So I'm very comfortable with ink blending. Having said that, I do make mistakes all the time. I make smudges. I just make imperfections. But one thing about this is that even though you don't have your ink blending perfect, it's very forgiving because we're going to take this Geostar 2 die, which by the way, I'm putting a metal shim underneath my magnetic plate there. And when I run this through the Gemini Junior, I actually run it through twice just to make sure that I get a good, clean cut. And the Gemini Junior does do a very good job with intricate die cuts. And then I just kind of tap. That's my technical term to get the die cut out of the die, and it cuts it like a dream. So here's how I adhere this very intricate die. I use spray adhesive. This is Elmer's. I take a scrap box, spray in the box. Now you could use liquid adhesive, but I'll tell you what, spray adhesive is the way to go for intricate dies like this one. And you see how I made my ink blended panel slightly larger. That way I could trim off any excess. And that Geo2 Star die cut kind of covers up any imperfections that you might have. You're not going to see. You know what I mean? Now for the sentiment, I'm using, these are called the Essential Classic Word dies. And they're also by Pinkfish Studio. And I have used these a ton. They are staples. They've got every word you could need. Today we're doing Celebrate. And this is going to be one of the many, many, many graduation cards that I've made this year. So I did the outline in black. I did the word die in white. I like to use my retractable needle tool to kind of get that off the cutting plate. Again, I'm using spray adhesive. Now you could use some liquid adhesive if you wanna. Since I had the box out and it was ready to go, boom. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I just pop that on and there you have your sentiment. Now for the card base, I'm using some Smoke cardstock by Simon's Stamp. And I actually made my card base slightly larger than a standard size card because I wanted to give a nice border around my Geostar 2 rainbow ink blended panel. And this ink blended panel is actually a standard size card size. So I had to make my card base a little bit larger than normal. So the card base size is 4.5 by 5 3/4. I've put some foam tape on the back of the panel and you see how it gives you that nice smoke gray border around the edge. I just feel like that finishes it off and it just says classy. You know what I mean? Now I put foam tape on the back of the die cut sentiment To finish the whole thing off, I'm adhering a few sparkling clear sequins. These are by Pretty Pink Posh, and I'm adhering them with some glossy accents, and it just gives you that little bit of shimmer and shine for the celebration. Now, this could be a beautiful birthday card, graduation card. I hope you enjoyed this video and it inspires you to do some rainbow ink blending. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.